into engithanda ukuyisho ukuthi uApril now iyaphela ubeshilo ke ungqongqoshe sekusho ke noGaty McKenzie Minister of Arts, Culture and Sport ukuthi yezi VAR kodwa noma isikhona naku sayibuza ukuthi igoal noma kulona igoal noma kusho iVAR VAR here is the principle.
Nasekhaya asambeni ke siya FNB hey lana ke ziyabuya but asiqale ke sibona uMayela hey Fiston hey man asiboneni ke uMayela scored a goal but that's what we call deliberate play and deflection right now. Mayela is in an offside position. We're going to draw the line and show you that indeed he's in an offside position. Saying I pause. He's in an offside position there. Now, we're going to see whether Umbogas, did he deliberately play the ball or it deflected. The law says when you jump, you are no longer in control of the ball. So, as one jumper, is he in control of the ball or not? He jumps, he's no longer in control of the ball. So, that is deflection. And deflection, the player now is gaining an advantage by being in that position. So offside decision, correct decision for offside because the player is now gaining an advantage by being in that position.
These need a technical analysis.
You know, before we go to this one, the offside one, you'll recall in one show here, I think it was Swallows versus Sundowns. Long ball struck half the field, almost hanging in the air.
You traded. You were big.
And you know, we analyzed why it was deliberate play and that it was correct for the goal to stand. Now, I want us to contrast this next incident against that memory where there was a long ball. And our primary focus here is on two things. The distance that is traveled by the ball, the speed of the ball, as well as whether or not the player could have naturally been able to position himself and control the movement of his body. Now, I'm circling that player because that's the player that halves the distance between the kicker and the player that ultimately heads the ball to the man in an offside position. At that moment, he's still hoping that the teammate may catch the ball. So what VAR would have looked at is the distance between that moment when the ball has gone past his teammate to the moment where he instinctively jumps to try and defend. And that's why it was considered a deflection rather than deliberate play when that went wrong. So in that instance, the VAR was spot on in seeing that that's a deflection, it's an instinctive jump. The player has no way of controlling the movement of his body. The ball was fast, it was coming from a very short distance. So those are the variables that they would have looked at. There is no question about whether or not the player who ultimately scores the goal was in an offside position. But if the defender had had an opportunity to control his body movement, look at those lines there, clearly in an offside position.
Yes.
But both the speed and the short distance that the ball had to travel before he instinctively tried to defend that convinced VAR that it was not deliberate play, but was an attempt to save the ball.
And when you're stretching, when you're reaching, those are considerations for the referee to look at to say no, and he would have been having that conversation here. The VAR assistant referees, Issa C and Jabril Kamara, in the referee's ear there, saying pretty much what Ace was saying. Watch Mbogazi. Watch that he's stretching. Watch that he's not really in a position to deliberately play that ball. And now we have to decide that it was...
Who is making a final decision to go and check VAR? After checking it, who makes a final decision on what I've seen on VAR? Very quickly, you can answer that one.
No, referee can initiate and the VAR room can initiate.
Can you explain why Pyramid's goal was overturned by VAR, not this one, the second one?
In rule 80, let's go to the law first. Ngoba ufana ufunda kahle ngangifuni ukuthi no ithi scores in the opponent's goal direct from their hand or arm, even if accidental, even if imshanga mabomu. Football does not accept a goal scored by the hand. That is the law. You can see immediately with their hand or the ball touches their hand or arm, even if accidental. Asiboneni ke ukuthi no, did the ball touches the player's hand? It touches the player's hand. When it touches the player's hand, it goes into the net. What does the law says? Even if it's accidental, you can see there. Now, referees gave a goal. VAR comes in and say, hey, you did not see the hand. As somebody no, the ball touched the player's hand. Right. As one gets clearly, you can see that it touched the hand, and then the referee there indicate there.
Let's get the correct one. Oh, there it is.
Yes, here's the VAR.
No, that's a previous
no,
goal.
that's the one.
That's a previous goal.
Right. So this one, you'll see the referee indicating that the ball touches the player's hand. So when the ball touches the player's hand, then it means, now let's go and check this one. If we can see.
There it is.
Yes, that's the one. Right. Let's see there. The ball touches the player's hand. Everyone can see a car.
Let me ask you the question. Let me ask you the question that everybody's asked.
Yeah.
They say if I was defending and that hit my hand, I would be told, Uguti did not make my body any bigger. The hand was next to my body, so therefore should it have been a goal because he didn't enlarge his body in any way.
People are confused. Here we're talking of scoring with the hand. If you score with the hand, football is not allowed. But if you're a defender, it touches your hand, and you're a defender, then that's where we talk of natural or unnatural. But when you score with the hand as an attacker, I boom.
Natural or unnatural doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Well, we're going to get out of here and go to an ad break. When we come back, remember that we still have the Premier League. Leicester have been relegated. And
There's one more, though, that ends up in the back of the net and needed VAR again. And La Ace, nobody saw that actually goal except the VAR. The Pirates players were comfortable. The Pyramids players were celebrating. It was only Mr. Ref Hosopegi screen. And then suddenly,
Yeah, no, look, a goal or no goal is one of the incidents that VAR has to check. Once a goal is scored, VAR must go through what happened prior to that ball crossing the line. And when they check, they will then communicate with the on-field referee. Remember, a decision has already been taken at that moment.
everybody, the assistant's running, the referee's gone.
The referee is gone, but VAR picks up that before the ball goes into goal, it strikes a striker's arm.
Ogula standing there.
Right? Now,
Da.
even if that ball had struck his arm and fallen favorably for a teammate, the goal would still not be ruled as legitimate. And that's because even with an accidental handling of the ball, you cannot score directly from a handball.
And it's not even just a handball. I mean, the rules are even further in that situation. The entire arm counts.
The
entire arm, if it comes off anywhere on the arm and results in a goal, whether it's accidental, whether it's anything.
No, remember, when we say handball, we include the arm from armpit level all the way to your fingertip. That's all a handball. So the ball was handled in that instance and went directly into goal. And in terms of the law, you can't score using your arm. Whether it's an accidental touch of the ball with your arm or your hand, no goal can result therefrom.
As opposed to if that happened somewhere else on the park and your arm was in a natural position,
Yes.
not making your body bigger, you could play on.
You would have had a play on.
and
You would have had a play on, yes, because it does not come directly from your arm into
And
goal
tucked it in.
or directly from your arm to the feet of a teammate who subsequently scores.